Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Adam with the Theory, and welcome to another episode of Adam's Theory. First off, I'd like to apologize to the viewers that I look like a shaved rat today. Yeah, it won't happen next week. I get my facial hair very quickly, so that way I won't embarrass myself on next week's episode. All right. So with today's episode, I kind of wanted to talk about how to become a better player in D&D. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about how can you become like a better wizard or stuff like that, because let's face it, there's no such thing as a good wizard. But actually, how to become a better D&D player in the party, because I think that is very important, because that could help the cohesion of the group, and it can also help you DM out. All right. So I'm gonna give you a list of a couple of things that I have seen other players do, and also things that I've done as a player that I had to kind of check myself on. All right. So number one, know your character sheet. All right. Now, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you all have friends or are in a relationship and can't look at your D&D sheet once or twice a day like me. You know, people actually love you, unlike me. But anyway, yeah. So with that being said, you don't got to look at your D&D sheet every day, but the day before the session, or even I would say an hour or two before, take a chance to look at your D&D sheet. All right, learn what your characters could do, their abilities. Read the spell. Let me say that one more time. Read the spell. Okay? There's so many times that people do not read the whole spell too, and it slows down the game. All right, you don't know how many times um, people will go and like, oh, you know what? We're sneaking in this castle. Let me use the knock spell, and they forget the last line that the knock creates a loud boom that could be heard from 300 feet. Yes, that has happened more than once during a set during in some games. So please don't do that. Thank you. All right. All right. And also another thing, rule number two: don't cheat. Okay. The DM has a lot of things they have to worry about. All right. They gotta know what your character is doing, what the NPC's character is doing, their environment, everything else. Okay. If you get hit and the DM forgets that, hey, you know what, you're supposed to make a concentration check, just own up to it and say, hey, DM, before my turn's over, let me make this concentration check. Oh well, it failed. I guess this spell's over. But just go ahead and do it. If you got to cheat in D&D, then honestly, this is not the game for you. All right. Another thing is plan ahead. Now, I will be honest. This comes with practice, okay? Because there's been so many times where I'm low on the initiative order. All right. And I have a plan of what I'm going to do. It's like, okay, I'm going to go and throw this fireball at these people that are over here. By the time it gets to me, the whole battlefield has shifted. All of a sudden, I got this dragon right behind me. All my freaking allies are all clumped together around the enemy, so I can't. That thing that I was going to do with the fireball, I got to throw that out the window. And it's like, oh my goodness, okay, I got to rethink this plan. What am I supposed to do? Um, and also with the plan ahead, that's really for the spellcasters, all right? Because to be quite honest, if you're a barbarian, I'm going to hit something. If you're a fighter, I'm going to hit something and then hit something and hit something. If you're a paladin, I'm going to smite. And if you're a paladin player, you're just going to smite. Stop trying to act like you're going to do something else with your spell slots. You're just going to do the smiting, okay? If you're a monk, you're going to hit and run, okay? If you're a rogue, you're going to hit and hide and complain that or why I don't got sneak attack. The spellcasters are usually the ones that could kind of hold up a turn because they have like so many spells, especially the wizard. Oh my goodness, especially that wizard. They got so many spells, and they have to kind of think about, well, what should I do now? And they look reading their spells and stuff. That's why I always say, hey, read your character sheet, and especially if you are a spellcaster. All right, if you're a warlock, you're just gonna Eldritch Blast. So that's not act like you're gonna do something. If you could be fancy and hex and then Eldritch Blast, but you're just gonna Eldritch Blast. So stop that. But yeah, plan ahead. Okay, so and also pay attention to what's going on before. All right. So I understand you may have a plan A, but pay attention so you know what's going on. So that way, by the time it comes to your turn, you kind of know what to do. All right. Um, okay. So the next one is a little bit of a biggie. Uh, take notes. But I have a caveat to this because I will be honest with you. Anybody that has played with me, I don't take notes. And the reason I don't take notes is because, well, one, I know somebody else is going to do it. So I don't got to take notes. Also, B, I'm very involved in the role play. I really get involved in it and I love role playing it. So if I'm role playing and getting really lost in my character, I don't really have time to kind of go and jot everything down. Now, what I have been trying to do is after the session, try to take some notes and to figure out what's going on with it. It's like, and like, okay, we went here, we did this, we found this item, boom, 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 and I try to make a little bit of an outline. But I played with some players that they take some beautiful notes. Oh my goodness. They know everything that happens. Everything. I could tell, hey, what happened in session 2, 3 weeks ago? They could just flip through their books and give me the exact time something happened. Oh, I mean, some of these notes, I'm like, I don't even know when they were playing the game. That's how detailed these notes were. So, but taking notes is a good thing, or at least have someone in the party take notes. Okay. So if you have somebody in the party that takes notes, you could kind of get away with it, not taking notes, but somebody got to do it. All right. And everybody knows who plays. It's not me. And also the note taking thing, it only really applies if you have a DM that's really into the storytelling. Because you got DMs that are not, that most of the time you guys are just fighting. You guys doing a couple of battles. You may go somewhere and stuff. The only thing you really need to do is just take notes and make sure the items that you get. But the story, the story is not that deep. You could kind of remember the real big key points. But for the the DMs that they're trying to make some Star Wars trilogy out of the session, yeah, you may need to take notes for them, or at least have somebody do. Like, oh my goodness. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I actually took notes for this video, so that way I could kind of keep track of where what I'm supposed to say, and also because I'm trying to make sure that I don't run over time. Because yeah, if my videos are longer than 15 minutes, you guys don't like them, okay? And I know that, and it hurts my feelings. But anyway, yeah, rule number 5. Don't fight the DM. Please don't fight the DM. I've I know that you, the player, and the DM are going to have some disagreements on a spell or how certain things could work. I did not wait a week, sometimes 2 weeks, to have you or the DM argue about a ruling of a spell or ability or item for 20 minutes of my session. Okay? If you have a problem with something, let it rock. After the session, talk to the DM privately. Or you could talk to him in a group, whatever is better. But I think that it's a better dialogue. Because sometimes, when things are heated, um, things could come out wrong. And we definitely don't want that to happen in a session. And also, like, in D&D, it's all about interpretation. So there's some rules that some DMs, are kind of light with. Others are kind of like it's rules as written. And of course, if you go on the internet, you're gonna go and find like 100 different rulings for certain things. I mean, I've had some rulings where some DMs said that the monk can use his unarmed strikes for smite. Others say they can't. All right. To me, they can't, but I've had people argue with it. So, with that being said, if you have any issue with, any type of rule, then just talk to the DM. And also, it's not player versus DM. All right. So I've had times where if I'm looking at a spell, I would talk to the DM before the session and like, hey, I just want to make sure that this spell works this way. All right. And so that way, when the session starts, I know how the spell is actually supposed to work. Me and the DM has already spoke about it. It doesn't come out of nowhere because you don't want to go and use a spell and the DM says, "Oh, well, that's not really how it's used." And now you're like, "Well, that goes my turn. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now." So if you have an issue with a spell or anything like that, speak to your DM. Last one, maybe, because I think I have another one, but possibly last one. Scheduling. There's no bigger enemy to D&D than life itself. All right. I have two jobs. I got family. I got friends that I visit. I travel. So because of that, sometimes me doing a D&D session could be a little bit rough and I have to miss some. So what I definitely do try to do is I try to let the DM know ahead of time. I at least I like to try to do it maybe a week ahead of time, sometimes a couple days. But I give the DM notice because sometimes the DM was planning a session with four people. Now you're not going to be there. Now the DM has to go and plan for three, so they may have to scale back some of the enemies to for the balance and to make sure that you don't come back to a TPK. So yeah, nobody wants that. Um, and then now here's the last one. Talk to your DM. Whatever you may have, whatever issue, talk to your DM. As a good DM has told me many, many times, they cannot fix a problem they do not know that you have. All right. If you have a problem with your character, talk to your DM so that way they could do something to make it better. If you have a problem with a player, talk to your DM so that way they could try to go and fix the situation before it becomes a worse problem. All right. This is something that I have to remember because I'm a really easygoing person and I try not to let things bother me until it does bother me. But by the time it does bother me, I got a lot of built up frustration. So I sometimes feel like I can make the problem worse than it is. So do yourself a favor, talk to the DM if you have an issue, so that way it could be resolved. All right, so that is my list of things that you can do to become a better D&D player. But I mean, my list isn't absolute, even though I did make the list. But what do you think? What other suggestions would you give players to become better players in D&D for the party and for the DM? Leave your comments. I love to hear from you about it, and I will definitely reply back. And if you have not subscribed, please do. I would definitely like to leave my job and do this full time, but until then, let me get myself to bed so I could go to work to pay my rent. All right. Thank you very much for watching Adam's Theory.